Human beings are ambitious by nature. We tend to always want something more than what we have. You initially want a bike, then you want a better bike, then you want a car, you want a better car, or you want a condo, then you want a house. It doesn't seem to end. It's just part of us. And here's what I think will help in whatever you have or whatever you want to achieve. So I don't think it's bad to be ambitious. I think it's quite good to be ambitious and it's normal to be ambitious. But if you're building a structure, say you're constructing a building, you cannot start at the second or third floor. You've got to first start with the foundation. And I agree with what everyone has said so far. I agree with what Drake said. I agree with Kirsten, as in your habits will form you. So here's what I think. First of all, be extremely clear on your values. What are your values? What do you value in life? What is it what, and because that'll help you with your priorities, it'll help you with your decision making. So first set your values in place. After you've set your values, then you set your goals. You don't do it the other way around, because if you do it the other way around, your goals can conflict with your values and you could wind up being a frustrated person. So first set your values, then set your goals. In your goals, it helps if you can prioritize your goals so that you know which one you want to get and how badly you want to get it, what kind of work you're willing to put into that. Once you've got your goals in place, then like Drake said, it takes 10,000 hours before you can call yourself proficient in something. And like Kirsten said, it's your habits that will make you who you are. Most of us today are the result of what we've done in the last 2 years. So where you want to be 2 years from now, you start building towards that today. And how do you build towards that? You build towards that with your thoughts, your words, and your actions. If your thoughts, your words, and actions are not aligned and not heading towards those goals, and those goals have to be compliant with your values, then you can start getting there. There was this question that used to be asked quite a lot in companies when I used to conduct corporate training. And that question was, do you want to be a small fish in a big pond that's an employee in a very large company? Or do you want to be a big fish in a small pond that's an employee with more value in a smaller company? And there was no real right or wrong answer. It was more dependent on what you wanted. And then I watched a Tom Cruise interview where he was asked the same question. Do you want to be a character in a big movie, or do you want to be a main character in a smaller movie? And his reply was mind blowing. His reply was, I want to be the biggest character in the biggest movie. And he got there. He's got there because he's put in the work, he's shown the dedication, his words, his thoughts, his actions are all aligned. One of the things that helps us get to the goals is being able to focus on those goals and work our way through it. I remember this, I was doing an obstacle course, and part of the obstacle course was a 9-foot ditch, which we had to jump over. And I was pretty good at the obstacles, except that 9-foot ditch. Every time I reached it, I would just land up in the ditch, or I would stop at the entrance because I knew I was about to go in. Tried many times, couldn't get across. And then one of my cohorts was just sitting and watching me practice and go into the ditch again and again. And he had a smile on his face. And I asked him, I said, tell me, how do I do this? Because he was doing it easily. And he said, the mistake you are making is that as you're running towards the ditch, you're looking inside the ditch. Don't look down into the ditch. Look at where you want to land. And when he said that, it seemed too simple. It didn't seem to make much sense to me, but I tried it anyways. And the tough thing to do was don't look down into the ditch, but look straight up at where you want to land. It took some refocusing, but then the ditch was nothing after that. It was that easy. Another experience I've had is we have these walls around us. We can see them, we can feel them, we can touch them, and therefore we don't try to walk through walls. Similarly, we all have walls in our mind, and these walls are built with years of conditioning, and we don't even try to break through or walk through the walls. But in our minds, if we really set our mindset, make a bulletproof mindset, you can walk right through walls. I've heard of people talk about visualization technique. You visualize something and it helps. I think it's much deeper than that. I think it's more of internalization, it's more of ownership, it's more of genuinely being there in thoughts, words, actions, competence. Put in the work and you'll get there. The reason I was mentioning values as being important, more important than goals, is because in your journey towards your goals or even your intermediate goals, you're sometimes faced with decisions that will, where you'd have to choose between compromising on your ethics or compromising on people who you really value. And you might, because of the hunger to get that goal, we may make that compromise at that point of time and get the goal. But then you don't feel the success and it eats into you. And once it eats into you, you start going into habits like alcoholism or escapism. And you're high on achieving your goals, but it's eating you from inside, which is why values are so important. And another thing I'd like to add is that we have to be self-aware. What are my strengths? What are the areas I need to work on? And then get to work on them. And something I learned from the army there was this general who once told me, he said, be happy, don't be content. Those were powerful words that stayed with me a long time. Adding to what Drake said earlier, believe in yourself, but stay humble. Thank you.